Hey guys, I went back to the paint store to ask those guys about that Ford Ruby Red color. And as I was saying in the previous video where I was talking about that, it seemed exorbitantly expensive. Well, it turns out it is pretty expensive, but not nearly as expensive as I thought. So when I talked to them at first, they quoted me $170 for 8 ounces. And what that actually was, or 4 ounces actually, sorry. What that actually turned out to be was I have to buy the tinter, the PPG tinter, the Vibrance stuff here. They made me buy the whole thing, so they wouldn't buy this just to use the little bit that they would need. So this is 4 ounces of tinter, I believe, which is enough to do almost 4 gallons of intercoat. So it's plenty of that, so I got that. And then here is the PPG Envirobase. This is water-based here. Can't really see very well in here, but that's the base coat. So I picked that up. And then to do this in PPG, I would have wanted to have gotten the EC530 clear. But since I'm just doing experiments here, I didn't go that way because I had to buy a whole gallon of that stuff, which is like $500 for a gallon, with all the reducers and activator and everything. And I'm only doing a test panel, so I didn't want to do that. So I bought some cheapy clear here. This stuff's not 2K clear. This is, or it is, sorry, no reducer though. And I'll use that to mix up the intercoat and give this stuff a try. So all of this stuff here together was $200. This, like I said, I can keep and actually use later. The list price they quoted was $170, but I got a better deal than that, which, as you can see, I got all of this for $200. So I think it works out for a gallon of base coat, a gallon equivalent of this, so that would be a gallon of clear. The combination of all of that is about $1,200. And then you have to get the clear on top of that, the final clear, assuming you don't use it all up in your inner coat or mid coat. So it's still pretty expensive, but it's not nearly the like almost $3,000 that I was thinking it was going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot some test panels with this and give it a try. It'll give me a chance to try out my DeVilbiss finish line gun here, which I've never used before. It's got the decup system on it, all this stuff in here. So I'm going to give that a try. So my test, I'm going to shoot the deck lid here. So I just sanded this thing down and put some rattle can primer on it just to cover it with something. It's, as you can see, not very uniform. Focus. Focus. So I'm going to do that. Then I've also got those little test panels, like spray cards. So I'm going to put some of those down too, to figure out how much of the inner coat, I keep calling it inner coat, the mid coat I'm going to need. I have to find those spray cards. I don't know what I did with them. They're around here somewhere. Oh, here they are. These guys. I got a bunch of these, so I'll lay those out to experiment. So I've never sprayed the waterborne before, never sprayed clear before, never used this gun before. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong here, but I'm going to give it a try. And I'm doing this while I'm doing the epoxy on the bottom of the cars. I have to wait between coats, so put that coat down. While that's waiting, I'll go ahead and shoot a coat of this and just kind of, one more coat here and I'm done, then I can focus on this thing. So I'm going to get that thing ready to go now. Alright, here's the base coat color. Very cool looking. Digging that. As I mentioned before, this is the PPG Envirobase. This is water-based. And this stuff doesn't even really smell at all. It has the slightest odor. So that low VOC stuff, man, there is something to it. Even this epoxy, which is low VOC, man, that stuff smells awful. This has like no aroma at all. It's really, really mild. Alright, so that's mixed up. I'm going to put it in my gun and go shoot it. Well, the deck lid is pretty much a failure. That primer had a little reaction with the paint, it seems. So it just kind of shows through everywhere. So it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. As you can see. It's a little stripy. I don't know if you can see this here. We'll focus. Stripe, stripe, stripe. I don't know, I'm not real happy with the way the finish line gun was laying down. And when I was testing out the fan on it, this is what was going on with it. I'd end up with these light spots in the middle of the fan pattern. You can see it right here. This is mostly correct, and then there'd be this just dead spot. When I put on the last coat, I turned the fan in a little bit and ended up with that, and I think that was better. And then on that last coat I ran out of paint. I have more, I could mix it up, but I don't really want to. I think it's good enough. I got 3 coats on my test panels here. That's enough. The trunk lid was just just kind of an experiment anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and mix up the clear with the mid coat now and shoot those. And this is what the tinter looks like here. Really, really dark, syrupy stuff. So in case you didn't know, to make the mid coat, put this into the clear coat. And as I said, the 4 ounces of tinter is enough for 3.5 gallons of mid coat. So this little bit here was enough to do 16 ounces, so I used half of it. There you go. let's have a look where we ended up. So, as I mentioned earlier, you can still see the stripes in the primer that came all the way through, which sucks. The color looks really good though. I don't know how well this is coming out in the video, but really nice color. I'm super happy with how that looks. The reason I really want to go with a paint like this is because it looks like a candy, but it's not as in your face as a candy, since it's on a red base instead of a silver base or a gold base or something like that. So that's pretty tasty. Maybe from here you can get a good look at it, and how it behaves in the sun and everything. Pretty nice. Here, let me flip this around. Alright, so here's all the test panels that I did. So these down here were meant to be an experiment with different control coats, but I ran out of base, so they theoretically are all the same. But what you're looking at there is the base coat with no mid coat. And up here we have one mid coat, 2, 3, 4. So mid coats of varying degrees. Try and come back and hit them this way, you can see. So you can see these two look pretty similar. This just has a little more depth to it, I guess, but by the time you get over here, this is pretty rich looking. So I'm going to let these guys sit out here in the sun. This is 3 coats of clear on top of 3 mid coats on this one, and then in the middle here I did 1 extra coat of mid, and you can't even really tell from here that I did that, which is interesting. And as I mentioned before, this has got some stripes in it. I'm pretty sure all those stripes are in the base coat, oddly enough. I thought the mid coat would be the one I really struggled with, but it was actually the base coat that had stripes in it. I sprayed the mid and the clear with my Harbor Freight gun, and I think that actually worked better than the Envirobase. I don't know what needle or nozzle tip I have in that thing. I ordered it with 3 different tips, but they're not labeled what they are. They only have part numbers on it, so I have to look it up and figure it out. So it may have just been totally the wrong tip. May have been the problem. It may have been a 1.8 or something instead of a 1.4. So there we go. I'm really digging that color. I think it's pretty sweet. I think I can actually get that sprayed on the car successfully if I practice a little bit and get the gun dialed in. This panel looks pretty good, except for the stripes in it, but so those are base coat, I think. So once all this dries, I'll pull these things off and I can really compare them better side by side, see how things look. But anyway, thanks everybody. Take it easy.